Hey, hi Saurav.
Yeah, hi Aparna.
Hey Aparna, hey Saurav. Good evening.
Hi Sunil, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hi Devyani. Hi Toastmasters Samita. Hi Chaitanya.
Good evening, Aparna.
Hello, good evening, Aparna.
Good evening. Toastmasters Samita, your birthday is around the corner, right?
Yeah.
You share your birthday with my son, and that's how I remembered.
Wow, that's great.
Can everyone rename themselves? And meanwhile, I'll do an audio video check as well. Am I visible? Clear enough and audible? Okay.
Hi Aparna.
Hi Devashish. Hello Sanjay. Hello Toastmaster Prabha. Hi.
Hi, Aparna.
Hi Chaitanya.
Hi, Devashish.
I also should test my camera.
Yes, please. Toastmaster Prabha and Toastmaster Sanjay. Yeah. Please rename yourselves.
Hi, Chaitanya. I'm driving. I will get in camera within 5-10 minutes.
Who is this? Okay, Toastmaster Sanjay. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I am speaker number.
You are speaker number 6.
I'm 3, right?
I'm two.
And me?
Put it like this so that we can understand how many speakers
You're
are.
4 or 3? Chaitanya,
I am 7.
Since
it's
Nagesh sir
4
was
on the
done,
list. Okay.
I think Toastmaster Prabha would go first, right?
Second.
Will join, no?
Nagesh sir is driving. He's stuck in a traffic jam. So he'll be a bit late.
Okay, so who Prabha is going to? No,
Yes.
but you still put yourself as per the speaker order, whatever is there on the agenda, and then we will call maybe someone before. That's fine, so that we don't get confused.
Okay, we'll start off with Nagesh sir itself and then
the
we can...
evaluator one. Yeah. But if Nagesh is not there, maybe Prabha can go first. You can say we'll start with speaker 2. Who's
Okay.
the team mod? Okay,
Okay.
then you are running the show, right, today? Yeah.
3 minutes to go.
Yeah, quickly.
Chaitanya, I'm speaker 3 or 8. I'm just getting confused.
Your speaker 4.
Oh,
Devashish, your speaker 4. See the agenda, updated agenda. Your speaker 4. I'll call out the speaker order. Toastmaster DTM Nagesh, Prabha, Shilpi, Devashish, Sri Lakshmi, Saurabh, Chaitanya, Chitrakshi.
One second, slowly. So Devashish is speaker 4, I am speaker 3, right?
Your speaker 6.
Your speaker 6.
And Devashish is speaker 4.
4.
Yes.
Who is speaker 3 then?
Shilpi.
Shilpi.
Shilpa is not there. Quickly, someone call her up.
Yeah, let me call her.
I'm speaker 6. 1 is not there. 2 is there. 3 is not there. 3 is not there. 4 is there. 5 is.
Sri Lakshmi, she'll join. She'll join now.
5 is joining. 6 is. Who's 6? Me. 7.
You.
7 is
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya. And
Okay, called Shilpi. Then who else is left? Devashish is there. Sri Lakshmi is there.
I'm checking with her.
Okay.
She said that she's joining in some time.
Okay. Toastmaster Meena will join after 5-10 minutes and Toastmaster Preeti also. And Joanne is there. She's there. Toastmaster Sanjay is also there. Toastmaster Amruta.
Chaitanya, Sunil has some question. He has raised his hand. For
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
Sunil. Yes.
So just clarifying, okay, I'll be the evaluator for Nagesh sir only, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So whenever he comes, I'll be evaluating.
Right.
Sounds good.
And okay, Toastmaster Vijay is there. Toastmaster Jayati. Okay. It's 7 already. So I'll start off with the meeting and people can join meanwhile. So good evening, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good evening.
Amazing. Please switch on your cameras. We would like to see your lovely faces. I know it's Friday night. Great. So very warm welcome to our special meeting of speech marathon. So before we begin, I would like to highlight few points. Our meeting today is of 2 hours and you are expected to stay for those 2 hours. All your video should be on and audio should be off. Your audio will be on only when you are required or called to speak. Regarding the topics of sex, religion, and politics, even though Toastmaster International does not put any restriction on speaking on these topics, at the Gabbys Toastmaster Club, however, we request all the speakers and role takers to be mindful and responsible and abstain from expressing any controversial views on these sensitive topics. Also, we urge you to be cognizant of the fact that we as a club practice diversity and inclusion in letter and in spirit. Hence, ensure there is no sexist, racist, or any such undertones which creates hostility and discomfort. Let me call upon the presiding officer for today's meeting, Toastmaster Devyani Nair, who will also be our MC or team mod for the day. Let me introduce her first. Her dad would describe her as jack of all trades and master of none. Currently, she is pursuing a bachelor's in political science and economics and loves dancing and frequently participates in college fests. Over to you, Toastmaster Devyani.
Thank you so much, our SA for today. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, that was Toastmaster Chaitanya, our Sergeant at Arms today. A very good evening to all of you. It's my pleasure to be presiding over the speech marathon at the Gabbys Toastmasters Club. I would love to welcome and acknowledge the presence of our guests in our meeting. And I would request everyone to stay back till the end and please give us our feedback. Moving on, I call upon the speech marathon to order. I hope that's the right phrase. For the benefit of the guests, I want to reiterate that Toastmasters is a home to people who wish to face their fear of public speaking. Not only if you love to connect and network with others, if you want to hone your leadership skills, Toastmasters is that place for you. It's a safe place to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think we proudly carry forward this 100-year-old legacy, which is spanned over many, many countries. Now, moving ahead with our meeting, let's start with the speech marathon. I hope you're all excited. We have 8 scintillating speeches followed by 8 evaluations. And as always, we have a general evaluator for today, who's none other than Toastmaster Aparna. I think she needs no introduction. We all know that overachiever among us. Over to you, general evaluator for today, Toastmaster Aparna.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Devyani. As the general evaluator for the speech marathon, I actually have quite a ridiculously long thing to do, which is basically, pay attention to the speakers as well as the evaluators. Of course, this meeting doesn't have your general setup, so I don't have a complete tag team with me today. I only have a timer, a very efficient one at that. So with that, I'd like to call upon our timer for today, Toastmaster Samita Kar. Toastmaster Samita, could you please share the timing guidelines for the speeches and the evaluations that are to come up?
Hello, a very good evening. Time and tide waits for none, but here in the Toastmaster, I'm trying to just evaluate how long, not the word is evaluation is correct. I will just be keeping a watch on how long you all are speaking. And at the end, I will be letting you all know. So there are a few speeches which are 5 to 7 minutes in duration. I will show a green card at 5 minutes, yellow card at 6 minutes, and red card at 7 minutes. The speeches which are 4 to 6 minutes long, the green card will go up at 4 minutes, yellow card at 5 minutes, and red card at 6 minutes. So if I may show the cards to you all. So this is the green card, this is the yellow card, and this is the red card. Over to you. Generally,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Samita. Also, could you please quickly state the evaluator's time as well?
Yeah, I'll do so. So evaluation, actually, evaluation is for 2 to 3 minutes. So again, I'll be showing the green card at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red card at 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. With that, my small tag team and myself, we will be back towards the end of the session when called upon to evaluate the speeches. Till then, back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Devyani.
Thank you. We have, I think, 2 bangers of a Toastmasters as our tagger team. Oh, just the timer and as a general evaluator today. Without wasting any time, I guess we'll just head on right into the speech marathon. We have 8 speeches and 8 evaluations. Starting with speech number 1. It is by distinguished Toastmaster Nagesh Ramamurthy. His evaluator will be distinguished Toastmaster Sunil. DTM Nagesh is a teacher, trainer, coach in the domain of construction. He has trained so many professionals in the last decade. He is a consultant who checks the health of occupied buildings. Today, DTM Nagesh will be attempting his L5P2 in Persuasive Influence Path. The project is leading in your volunteer organization. The purpose of this project is for the member to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer organization and to share some aspect of their experience in serving as a leader in a volunteer organization. DTM Nagesh. TBD, to be done? I'm a little confused with the speech title. To be done, DTM Nagesh.
Am I audible? TBD is generally to be decided. Volunteering is fun as a leader. It is fun and tiring also. I was at the venue since 6 a.m. in the morning of winter of 2012. If I don't have breakfast at 7:30 in the morning, I suffer severe headache. The whole day is ruthless for me. I was busy overseeing the symposium hall as the event chair, which was expecting about 200 member attendance. All recce were smooth and all was set at 9 a.m. 9:30 a.m. The chapter president walks in and is visibly upset. He was hurling abuses and was physically agitated. What happened in next 30 minutes was a chaos. He changed the AV console location, the seating arrangement, and the items on the dais. The event started 45 minutes late. It was at 10:45 that the event started. While we had the best of speakers who enthralled the attendees with their mesmerizing presentations, according to me, the event was a failure of sorts. The AV did not work. The lamp fell down. The podium was obstructing the screen. The president mentioned in the evening that the food at Taj Vivanta was not palatable. I had also heard hushed voices of people mentioning about arrogance of the chapter president. I had learned diligence make one trustworthy, but one man's attitude, arrogance, and artificiality defies all good wishes. I wondered, is this volunteering? With my attitude to serve, I contributed more and reached a time when I was eligible to apply for a board position in 2015. After several rounds of interviews, I was selected as a board member. I was one among 14 of the chapter. In one of the monthly board meetings while I was new, the president and secretary had just then returned from US. Though not eligible, one of the board members had traveled with them and had claimed expenses from the chapter. And the discussion was going on to reimburse that money from the surplus budget that we had. Toastmasters, I also thought what you are thinking. How can an eligible expense be paid or even discussed in a board meeting? When put to vote, 12 members voted. 2 voted against. And I'm not sure who was that second person who voted against. Till date, I'm not sure. But expenses of 2.25 lakhs was paid to that member. A board member's joy trip was paid from members' money. How did the current president admit such claims, let alone allowing discussions on it? Isn't volunteering about generosity, grace, and goodness? That day it was death of benevolence and victory of personal benefit. I had a huge argument after the board meeting with people, but I went home mourning. Mourning, yes. But this word mourning reminds me of another incident. I was still a board member when in Jan 2021, I lost my mother to a decade-long illness. As per our belief system, we have 13 days of ritual. I requested for leave of absence for a day-long board meeting, but I was called, forced, and coaxed to come even if I'm late. I obliged and reached the meeting room at 3:30 p.m. As I was sitting on my chair, a few board members made fun of my new hairstyle, a tonsured head. I was perplexed, yet participated in the meeting. At 4:30 p.m. break, I asked, why is my hairstyle so funny? While I narrated my personal loss. The members were shocked to hear about it. The then president had hidden the news of my personal loss with other members of the board. That was humiliating to me. Now, since it was personal to me, I went inside the meeting room, packed my bag, and left the board meeting, never to return. Toastmasters, why do people misuse their designation in volunteering organization? Volunteers find elevated with designations. There is more fascination, fixation, decorations with designations. It is just service, isn't it? I'm still perplexed. What more is expected here? Volunteers are those who come forward, give their lives for freedom of this country. Can't we just give our time and energy in the service of others? Beyond thinking about TBD, that is, we will see it later, let's have tenacity for the cause. Show benevolence to other volunteers and have diligence in our actions, because higher cause is much higher than the personal cause. Yes, keep aside the personal cause, work for the higher cause. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, DTM Nagesh. I think you really left us pondering on some really important questions. Moving on to our next speaker. Our second speaker is Toastmaster.
1 second, Devyani. Just check the messages I'm sending on chat. Sent a message to Prabha also. I've sent to you as well.
Okay.
Prabha, is it okay because Chitrakshi is an exigency? Prabha, is it okay if we swap you and Chitrakshi?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Chitrakshi, speaker number 8. Would you be okay going as the last speaker, or you want to go before that?
Me? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay, great. So then Prabha and Chitrakshi will swap. Juan, you're fine? Huh? Prabha, you're fine?
Yeah.
So then swap Prabha and Chitrakshi, please. So the
No.
rest of the order remains as is. Thank you. Thank you,
The
Prabha.
swap. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Chitrakshi, which her evaluator is Toastmaster Meena M. Toastmaster Chitrakshi, a double partner, 8 months of her Toastmaster journey and the secretary of the Gabbys Toastmaster Club. She's empowered so many individuals over the years, and she aspires to positively transform the lives of 1 million individuals by the year 2033. Toastmaster Chitrakshi is attempting her L2P3 in dynamic leadership, introduction to Toastmaster mentoring. The purpose of this speech is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters and to share some aspect of the strategy. The speech is for 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, Toast.
Should I start? I didn't hear it, Devyani.
Oh yeah, over to you. You can start.
How many of you here have heard my speech before? Anything? Okay, quite a few raise of hands. How many of you know I am an image consultant? How many of you know that I was an engineer before I became an image consultant? How many of you know that I, in my class 11th, had taken physics, chemistry, maths with biotechnology? Okay. This is who I am. If you see my career graph, what have I really stuck to in life? Nothing. Since I was a kid, I would often go to my mother and say, you know what? I'm truly special.
And there's nobody who can tell me the path that I can take. If I'm fair to her, she always gave me an exasperated look and thought, I wonder who's ever going to help my little girl. Either get her out of this state of mind or empower her with some little bit of brains to apply and understand that nobody is special. We are very similar in a lot of ways. But well, I was just me. So throughout my life, I kept on believing that there was no perfect person for me as a partner, as a friend, and definitely not as a mentor. So nobody can be my mentor. As a kid, there were seniors who came to me and said, "You're really good. You can be a part of our gang." And I would just shoo them away and say, no, you're very ordinary. I'm special. Okay. When I grew up, I had seniors in class 11th and 12th who said, "We'll tell you what to do. I think you should not take PCM with bio. You should take something like physical education. That's more you. You're tall. You'll do very well." I said, I'm special. You don't know me. When I went on to be an engineer, my teachers came to me and said, "Who told you to be an engineer, darling? That's not for you. Please stop doing that." And I still did not listen. And I said, "Listen, you don't know how special I am. I'm the one who's going to put you on the map," which is partly true, but that's what I told my teachers. My college will be on the map because of me. When I and I started working, still nothing. And that went on and on and on. Last year, someone, in fact, asked me to become a part of the Speechcraft program. I was not convinced. I thought, well, what would a Speechcraft program do for me? I'm so special. I'm too good. No, okay, let me just go try, experiment with this Toastmasters a little bit. Maybe if it works out, it works out. So I was given a mentor. And you know what I did? The first call I made was to the Speechcraft coordinator. And I said, "I don't like my mentor. I'm too special. Mentors can't help me." And I swear to you, you can ask my mentor. I said, "Mentors can't help me." So she said, "I'm sorry, we don't have so many mentors at the moment. Can I be your mentor? Just for now, if you don't like me, we'll change." Sure. If you want to be my mentor, I think you're a coordinator. Why not? Let's start with you. And if I don't like you as my mentor, we'll change that as well. She said, "Okay." I don't know what she knew about me. I still don't understand how she gets me. I have no idea what drives her to even talk to me. I am beyond repair. And my mentor still never tells me what to do. She always asks me if I want to do something. This is the first mentor of my life. First mentor. First person I trust wholly and completely to every single detail in my life. And this person has never given up on me. Even at times when I do very stupid things, times where I feel, "Oh, I know everything. What can she tell me?" She doesn't stop. Times when I was let down by everyone else, she's the only one who gets me back on track and makes sure I do something that keeps me busy, engaged, and growing. People ask me, "What do I do at Toastmasters? What is this waste of time? You're always there with your laptop saying, 'Hi, good evening, Toastmasters, Toastmasters, I'm giving a speech,' or you're sitting with your notebook writing a speech. What is it all about?" And all I can tell them is, in the last 8 months, 2 path breakers, I have changed. A person who thought there was no mentor in the world who could be her mentor finally found someone who's beyond Toastmasters for her. Someone who has heard every stupid life story of mine, who's actually seen me highly demotivated, and who everyone knows is just a call away from me. So when I go missing, you know who people call? Not me. They've stopped calling me anymore because they know I won't pick up. If I'm missing, I'm missing. They call her and ask my mentor where I am. That's what my mentor has done for me. So someone who thought there was no mentor in the world because I was very special finally realized that there's someone more special than me who knows exactly how to deal with me and doesn't give up on me. I'm so grateful and highly motivated because of this. And so everyone who says, "I don't think I need a mentor," I turn around and today I tell them, and when you have a mentor, you will truly know the value of a mentor. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I actually forgot to mention Toastmasters Chitrakshi's speech title. It is No Mentor is Good Enough for Me. I'm so sorry. Apologies. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Shilpi Tiwari. The evaluator for Toastmaster Shilpi will be Toastmaster Preeti Jain. Toastmaster Shilpi is from Chhattisgarh. She's an MBA holder and she's participated in an international beauty pageant called Mrs. India Worldwide, held in Greece. She was a finalist there. Now she's enjoying motherhood with her 3-month-old baby, Ayan. Toastmaster Shilpi will be attempting her L1P1 speech. It's an icebreaker in the persuasive influence path. The purpose of the icebreaker is for the member to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. The icebreaker will be for 4 to 6 minutes. Toastmaster Shilpi, obedient, stubborn. Obedient, stubborn, Toastmaster Shilpi.
Hi. Hi, Devyani. Did you just, yeah, hi.
We can't see you, Shilpi.
Yes, yes.
Take your
Actually, actually, I have my baby with me. I'm just giving to my husband.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. So, you are meeting with a person who was obedient and now stubborn. So, you must be thinking, being obedient is a good one. Why am I telling like this? So, let me tell you the story. This obedient child was born long, long ago, not too long, just 35 years back, in a small town of Chhattisgarh, that is Palko. I born in 24 Jan. So next year you can wish me and even you can send me the gifts. Yeah. So I am the eldest daughter of my parents. As I was very protective child for a 10 years since I born. During our time, child snatching was very popular. So my mother thought I'll get snatched. According to her, whatever bad thing happens, it will happen with her child only. Being as a single child, I used to follow all the orders of my parents. Then, after 10 years, my sibling is born. We have a huge difference. So, these two naughty kids were just opposite to me. So, you can imagine how my parents' trauma to tolerate these kids. Anyways, I was still following my parents' orders. During the time, I became introvert and unable to express my feelings. I wanted to be an engineer, but I was very bad in maths. In class 10, I got a very good teacher of maths, and I got distinction on that. But my father wanted me to become a doctor. Then he forced me to opt bio over maths. I did it, but miracle didn't happen. I did graduation in biotechnology, then pursued MBA in HR. And after that, in 2012, I got job in a power plant as an HR intern. I was so happy because my dream came true. My parents were happy. But soon after, in 2013, my mother diagnosed with a cancer of 4th stage. Me and my father went to Vellore for her treatment. And side by side, I managed my office. We fought for 1 year. But in 2014, Jan, she passed away. Then I got responsibility of my 2 younger siblings to take care of them. One was in 8th standard, second was in 5th standard. I used to prepare tiffins for them. My father used to drop them. And side by, I managed my office. But after a couple of months, my company fired me because my performance was not good in previous year. So I decided I stopped looking for a job and I just take care of my siblings. In 2006, and slowly I got into the depression, but I didn't know that. In 2016, I got married and shifted to Bangalore. It is an arranged marriage. So once I came here also I faced challenges as a daughter-in-law. by the society that I'm not working. It pinched me. Society started looking at me as a so-called housewife, which is a taboo. And my habit of following orders, rules, regulation has just screwed me completely. And the society looking into me, she can't do anything. So I thought I have to prove them because it is all about my self-respect. My husband helped me a lot. He identified that I am into depression. So he knows I love dancing. We enrolled ourselves for a dance. We enjoyed it, but somehow it didn't work for a long time. Then he helped me to crack interviews. I cracked interview. I joined a startup as an HR intern, but it didn't turn out to be a long-term journey. After that, I thought I have to do something. I'm not for a job. I have to do something. Then I applied for international beauty pageant. That is out of my comfort zone. I auditioned. I selected. I went into the Greece, and I was finalist. That was a boom. I proved everyone that I am capable of everything. And this journey has boosted my confidence. Today, I have a page on my FB and I have a 9,000 followers. And I've made very good friends. I'm still in contact with them. So I healed myself through Reiki and neuro-linguistic programming. And after that, I joined Excite. Like this, I solved my problem. So what I have learned from my journey, that I can able to help and to women who want to restart their career. I know the process, how to boost confidence and restart the career. And I have joined Toastmaster to just update my software. And I believe that I'll make very good friends over here also. And my title is, you must be saying, obedient, stubborn. I was obedient, but I didn't overcome of my problem. I created lots of problems. But once I became stubborn, I'm able to become, or I am able to be overcome from my problems. I solve my many challenges. So now I am obedient and solving my problem in a stubborn way. So this is all about me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can everyone please give Toastmaster Shilpi a standing ovation for that wonderful icebreaker speech?
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shilpi, that your story is so admirable and you're so inspirational. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Devashish Parmar. His evaluator is Toastmaster Sanjay Jain. Toastmaster Devashish is an alumni from the Bhawanipur College, Calcutta. He's a chartered accountant by profession and is currently working in EY. During his free time, he cooks up a storm in his kitchen and experiments with different recipes. Today, he will be attempting his L1P3 in Presentation Mastery Path, Introduction to Vocal Variety. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance a speech. It is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Toastmaster Devashish, life is like a marathon. Life is like a marathon, Toastmaster Devashish.
Good evening, Toastmaster and fellow guests. You must be wondering why I have kept this number. This was the number I had in my school when I was running marathon. Everyone present here would have participated in the sports day, but would have always waited for 100-meter race, 200-meter race. But for me, marathon has always captured my fascination. Right from my early school days, I was drawn to the challenge of long distance running. Back then, I had no idea what was it like to about the historical roots about long run. Allow me to give you a brief background. I need time. Can I take last position?
DTM Saurabh.
Yeah, I think it's okay, Devashish. Take your time. You can also take a little bit of time, go off camera, and you can do it now also, whatever you're comfortable with. It's totally.
I would take.
Okay, fine. So we will have him go last then instead of Prabha, right? So we'll just maintain the order. So Prabha will go 7th and Devashish will go 8th. It's totally okay, Devashish. Take your time, not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Devyani, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Yeah. Okay. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi Hegde. Her evaluator is Toastmaster Amrita Deshmukh. Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi is a certified image consultant and soft skill trainer by profession. She's a double triple crown winner and a double path breaker. Today, she will be attempting her L2P1 in Visionary Communication Path, understanding your leadership style. The purpose of the speech is to identify her primary leadership style and share some aspects of her leadership style or discuss just different types in general. This is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi, my leadership journey. My leadership journey, Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Devani. While doing Toastmaster assessment on Toastmaster website, it showed me that I have 3 primary leadership skills. That is coaching, altruistic, and affiliative leadership skills. I was surprised for a second. Do I have these leadership skills? Then I recalled my past experiences and I realized that yes, I have these skills. These skills are within me. Coaching is the one people not only teach, they help people, making them understand. In altruistic, leaders give importance to people than themselves. And in affiliative leadership, members take opinion of other members before the final decision. Now coming to my leadership skills, coaching is the highest. As a professional front, I work as an image consultant and soft skills trainer. I go to training colleges. When I go for training colleges, I not only train, I walk behind all the rows and ask each and every student, have you understood the topic? Are you clear with the topic? Should I make you understand anything? If you haven't understood, please share with me. I will ask them, I will go them personally and ask. And if they haven't understood, if they're not able to catch what I had told them, I will give them their personal experiences, which will help them in connecting with the issues and I will make them understand. It's only because of my coaching leadership style, I am able to do it. I am able to make them understand very well topics. And my second leadership skill is altruistic leadership skill. Surprisingly, many leaders in the past has this leadership skill, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela. And our spiritual leader, Dalai Lama, also has this leadership skill. In this leadership skill, members think of others than themselves. Previously, I worked as a Vice President Education at our Gabbys Toastmasters Club. While working as Vice President Education, if I want to pick any roles, whether it's speaker, if I had booked a slot for myself, whether it's TTM or evaluator, anything, if any member come and ask me, Sri Lakshmi, can I take this slot? Can you give me speak slot? I would happily give them speaker slot or TTM slot or evaluator slot, thinking that their project will be completed. They will complete their path. That is my intention. I want whoever in both the clubs want to get best in Toastmaster journey. I want everyone to grow along with me, whether with their speaking skills, leadership skills, their communication skills, evaluations, whether it's evaluation or whether it's their listening skills. Everyone should get best from our Toastmaster club, whoever part of with us throughout in the journey. And my final leadership skill is altruistic leadership skill. Affiliative leadership skill. In affiliate leadership skill, leaders take opinion of other members before final decision. For my last project, I did project of managing Gabbys guest book, high performance leadership. I was leading that project, and DTM Saurodatta, DTM Nancy, Akanksha, my past mentor Lakshmi were all part of that project. They all are working with me. For that project, I created a group of 4 to 5 members and assigned each member a task. Saurabh took the task of designing. Nancy took the task of content writing. Akanksha did the proofreading. Everyone assigned a particular task, and I created a group. And if anyone shares, if Nancy shares the content, I used to tell DTM Sauradatta, Akanksha, Lakshmi, please check it. Nancy has shared it. If it's okay, can we go ahead with it? I used to discuss with each and every member, and I used to message in group also. And for design also, DTM Sauradatta took care of designing. When Sauradatta shared the design in the group, I used to ask with Nancy, Lakshmi, Akanksha, everyone, please go through it. Saurabh shared the design. Can we go ahead with it? If you are okay only, we can go ahead with it. And I used to ask with DTM Sauradatta, are you happy with content writing? Are you happy with the content? Are you happy with every grammatical anything? If you are not satisfied, we'll work again. This is the way. I did that project. It's only because of my affiliative leadership skill. I want to thank my 3 leadership skills: coaching leadership skill, altruistic leadership skill, and affiliative leadership skill, which helped me to reach where I am today. As a leader, I want our club, both the clubs, Gabbys Toastmaster Club and Gabbys Online Toastmaster Club, one of the best club in District 92, and to introduce more leaders, more speakers. And as a trainer, I want to impact lakhs of people through my training by utilizing my leadership skills. Thank you, Toastmasters. What you Toastmaster of the day?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lakshmi. I think your contribution to Gabbys is so nice to hear about. Our next speaker is Distinguished Toastmaster Saurabh Datta. The evaluator for DTM Saurabh's speech is Distinguished Toastmaster Abhijit Roy. DTM Saurabh is the VP PR of both the Gabbys and the Gabbys Online Toastmaster Club. He has achieved 2 DTM awards, 3 triple crowns, and has completed 8 parts. Today, he will be attempting his L2P2 in Strategic Relations Path, Introduction to Toastmaster Mentoring. The purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring and to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. DTM Saurabh Datta. You don't have a mentor? You don't have a mentor, DTM Saurabh.
No, I don't have a mentor. And just as much that it shocks you, it shocked everyone who I told this to, that I don't have a mentor. Not having a mentor is a crime. And in Toastmasters is blasphemy. I mean, how can you even survive in Toastmaster without a mentor, right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Why are you even here? But the fact is, I'd never had a mentor in the formal sense. If this doesn't shock you enough, let me give you one more shocking news. This project is the second speech that I'm repeating. In the last 2 days, there are 2 speeches that I've given. Both the speeches I'm repeating again. The first speech, which is Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, which I did, I didn't understand what the evaluator said in the evaluation at all. In the second speech, cross-cultural understanding, the understanding cross-cultural differences, I didn't understand what I said at all. So I repeated both the projects. The first one I just finished today, and the second one I'm doing right now. If that doesn't sound shocking enough, then let me tell you that in the last 8 parts that I've done, this project has been the toughest project for me, the toughest of all. And probably this is the project which I've repeated multiple times. Why so? Because I was stuck with the formal definition of mentoring. The Gabbys members you see on the screen today, at the risk of bragging, though it's not bragging if it's true, at the risk of bragging, most of them are either my mentees or mentees of my mentees. So if you tell me to do a project on Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring as a mentor, I can do a speech every day and I'll still have new content to share. But if you ask me to do a project as a protege, it becomes very difficult for me because as I said, a formal mentor was never there. So who do I talk about? And I used to kind of think of weird personalities and start talking about them. I used to draw inspiration from speeches where people would say, Dr. APJ was my mentor. I still wonder if that gentleman knew that he was mentoring someone. Or someone would say, Mahatma Gandhi was my mentor. In fact, I heard someone say that God is my mentor. So I tried to convince myself that I also find mentor in one of these unholy places or holy places. But I wasn't convinced enough. And that's the reason I got a repeat. And then I came across a quote by Crosby, which said, a mentor is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. A mentor is someone who has the brain to pick, the ear to listen, and gives you a push in the right direction. And then I realized, lo and behold, I have so many mentors all around me. And after that, this project became very easy for me. And one of those mentors is sitting right here. So this mentor, I reached out to in the month of December, or rather this mentor reached out to me. Technically, formally, officially, she is my mentee. But she reached out to me and it's just a friendly call and like, hey, Saurav, what's up? How's life? I said, all good, going on great. This mentor said, so what's next? What are you planning? So what are you going to go for next? Yeah, in December, that was one of the burning questions in many minds. That what is the next district role that Saurav will go for? CGD, PQD, DD. And this mentor also had this question. She called me up. I said, I've not thought about it. Then she said, Saurav, let me ask you a question. You are giving a lot to Toastmasters. Are you getting enough out of it? Like you have been a leader in many official organizations, many professional places. So leadership as a skill is important, but then you have already invested on building that for the last 20 years. What about your speaking skills? Are you investing heavily on building your speaking skills? I kind of took a little offense. So is she saying that I'm not a good enough speaker? Just because she is a champion speaker? That's offending. That's insulting. Particularly when I'm technically your mentor, right? But today, when I stand here, when I am repeating 2 of my speeches in the last 2 days, I thank her for asking that question because yes, I'm not doing justice. If I look back in my Toastmasters journey, I see that the first year has been extremely productive because I was investing in my learning and sharing those learnings, rising and helping others rise. Then when I look at the last 2 years, I've been busy doing what? Campaigns, elections, lobbying, voting, getting votes, casting votes. And that's what has been the last 2 years. It's all about politics, power, badges, titles, toxicity, negativity. And this call was a wake-up call. No, sir. You are not paying $45 every 6 months to indulge in all this. You are paying $45 every 6 months to invest on yourself. And this mentor told me to do that. And I decided, no, I will invest in myself, in my learnings, share those learnings and help others rise. The way I've done for the first 8 months, which is what helped build the foundation of the Gabbys, which is what built the Gabbys from 1 strong club to 2 strong clubs today. From then on, the journey has been spectacular. I'm doing speeches, taking up roles, almost every role, because I don't take up the accountant role. I consciously avoid that role. I'm scared of accountants and I'm scared of the role. But apart from that, I try every other role. And I'm doing it with a lot of passion, with a lot of purpose. And this is what a mentor does to you. The mentor helps you see that aspect of you, which you did not see, that strength of yours, which you did not realize, that purpose of yours, which you should have been investing on and looking into, but you did not. You don't need to have a glorified mentor and bask in their glory. You don't need a mentor to say someone that, you know that person, that Toastmaster leader. You don't know him. He's my mentor. The international president, he's my mentor. The chief minister, he's my mentor. Take a second and think your mentor's achievements are his achievements or her achievements or their achievements. You have to script your own achievement. And if you're still dying to know who the mentor I'm talking about, it's none other than our general evaluator for today, Toastmaster Aparna Raja. She's the one who was the brain that I picked, the ear that listened to me, and the one who gave me the push in the right direction. Thank you, Aparna. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can everyone please give DTM Saurav a round of applause? Our next speaker is Toastmaster Chaitanya. He's been standing for so long, I think. Our evaluator for Toastmaster Chaitanya is Toastmaster Jayati Datta. Toastmaster Chaitanya is a software engineer working in Bangalore. His interests include music, cooking, sports, and he hopes to create something that has an impact. He will be attempting his L2 P3 from Presentation Mastery Path, which is also Introduction to Toastmaster Mentoring. The purpose of the speech is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring and to share some aspects of a previous experience as a pro teacher. It is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Toastmaster Chaitanya. Best way to learn. Best way to learn, Toastmaster Chaitanya.
Communication is speaking fluently and at a decent pace. For this, maybe I can join Toastmaster. There they'll assign a teacher to me and that person is going to train me. This sounds like a plan. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Let me share a story with you of how this perspective of mine changed over the last few months. We all know that Toastmaster provides us a safe space to develop and learn and hone our communication skills. I too joined as a guest in one of the meetings and saw people speak so well. I was sure that this is the place I want to be. This is where they are going to make me better. And so I enrolled myself in. But after I joined, I got to know that there is no concept of trainers or coaches here. What? I was disappointed. I had paid for this and all I was supposed to do was give speeches, take feedbacks, develop from them, and this was supposed to make me better. Anyways, I was assigned a mentor in a while, but let me tell you what happened after that changed my perspective completely. Can any one of you tell me what's the best way to learn anything new? Raise your hands if you think it's through self-study. Just a raise of hands. Okay, and raise your hands if you think it's through lots and lots of practice. Okay, there are a couple of people there also. There's nothing wrong in that. That's all correct. But let me tell you, the best way to learn anything new is what we have been doing since we were born. Imitating. As toddlers, we learn to speak and walk by imitating people around us. And later on, when we grew up, a lot of our behaviors developed by imitating our friends and our siblings. And these behaviors became our habits. When I had joined Toastmasters earlier, I used to think I don't have time to write speeches and practice them. And let me tell you, the game between me and my mentor was similar to a game of a cat and mouse. She was always after me, running behind me to book slots and write speeches, manage time and what not. And I, most of the times, was running away from her. And sometimes I still do that. You can ask that from her. She was there in this meeting earlier. But one fine day, I got to know that she has a very busy schedule in her professional life. Yet she was able to deliver so many speeches, more than I could ever imagine. And sometimes she also asked me for my feedbacks on her speeches. I was surprised. And all these things helped her grow. That day I realized what she was trying to tell me, and she was ready to support me for that. I understood the difference of how a trainer would have guided me and how a mentor is guiding me right now. For instance, a trainer would have told me that during my speech, look at Toastmaster Aparna or look at Toastmaster Samita, just to gain some audience attention. No doubt that would have helped me a lot, but mentorship is a lot more than just focusing and improving on few of the important points. In my most of the discussions with my mentor, I was never told what I am supposed to do. Instead, I'm usually given something to reflect upon, and then it is left on me to decide what path I should take. Another very important way to encourage someone to learn something new or help someone to learn something new is through encouragements. When we encourage someone, we amplify their positive aspects and then their strengths and make them believe about it. It is a way to get the best out of someone. For me, I receive appreciations for cases where even I wouldn't appreciate myself, but still my mentor does that for me. And just by appreciations and encouragements, I don't think we can get where we always want to be. So as much important as it is to understand our strengths, it is also important to know our weaknesses. Unfortunately, my mentor never tells me about my weaknesses. Surprised, are you? She does something better. She helps me realize them myself by telling me about how I can improve by taking the right steps. It is very natural for us to do something sincerely if we have good examples in front of us, we are aware of our strengths and weaknesses, and it is our decision. Mostly we won't be doing anything sincerely if someone tells and imposes it on us. And a mentor helps us understand all of it. The Toastmaster mentoring system uses all of these values to develop a person as an individual. A trainer's methods are more focused towards improving on few of the important aspects, but a mentor helps one grow as an individual. These habits that are created, they have a ripple effect in all the things that that person does anywhere. So what I understood is a trainer paves a path, helps the protege to walk on it and gain success, while a mentor helps one to build their own path through the resources that are around them and then encourages them to work on it. And this stays with that person for life as a part of their personality. Over to you, Toastmaster Devyani.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Chaitanya. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Prabha Luhaniwal. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. The evaluator for Toastmaster Prabha is Toastmaster Joanne Joseph. Toastmaster Prabha is a fun-loving, ambitious, and sporty person. She finds delight in exploring new places and immerses herself in different cultures through travel. Today, she is attempting her L1P1 in Dynamic Leadership path. It's an icebreaker speech. The purpose of this project is for the member to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speak. It's a 4 to 6 minute speech. Toastmaster Prabha. Enjoying life, yesterday, today, tomorrow. Enjoying life, yesterday, today, tomorrow. Toastmaster Prabha.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Who needs a red carpet when a pit hole is waiting to show you memorable and hilarious entrance? A fall to remember, and I nailed it right into the pit hole. A few days back, I was walking on a sidewalk near my home, and I saw someone coming in front of me, towards me, and I was wondering who this person is. I mean, like, I felt like I know that person. As I came closer to her, I realized that she's someone from my college and who I lost contact with long time ago. I felt so excited. I got so excited, and I started walking towards her hurriedly. The field of view of mine was just her and nothing else. So I reached near her, and as I raised my hand towards her to shake her hand also, I find that she was holding my head, and I was in the crack of the sidewalk, and it was like a funny incident where we both started laughing, and it was a silly side of life. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guest. I am Prabha Lohaniwal, and just another human being with unique energy, trying to find my role on this beautiful planet. And the purpose of my life is happiness. As Sir Einstein once quoted, and I believe, learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. But the important part is to not stop questioning. Yesterday is just a series of past so many yesterdays, where you can take away so many things from previous yesterday, and which can impact your today and tomorrow. Yes, embracing yesterday is also like watching blooper reels of our own lives. Let me take you to one of my blooper reels from my yesterday. Back in my childhood days in Haryana, I used to watch a lot of movies, and I used to get scolded a lot. So one fine day I was thinking, like, I need to run away from home because they are not letting me do what I wanted to do. As many of you can relate, that you get these storms of obsession once in a while, right? And one of my obsession was at that moment was to ride this bicycle. How many of you remember or can recall this Atlas big bicycle back from Baba Adam's time? So we had this old giant Atlas bike at our home, and I wanted to ride it. So I told my cousin to help me learn it. So one fine day we went out, and she was like, I'll hold your bike from behind, and you keep pedaling. I was like, fine, okay, we'll do this. Then after some time, after several pedaling times, she was like, you keep pedaling, and I'll let go of this bicycle without you knowing it, and you don't look back. I was like, okay, fine, I think I can take this. So she let go of the bicycle, and I didn't know. Now you all must be thinking that I rode that bike and never came back home again. Well, that wasn't the case. I immediately lost the control to fall on the rock and injured myself, and went back home immediately to get scolded again. That was one incident of my horror scolding, where I could see the Kali Mata of my mother, Kali Ma Roop of my mother. Well, had I been got scared of this moment of this fall, I wouldn't have become Lance Armstrong of my neighborhood. As I recall this moment, I find immense joy and courage to go after my passion even today. Today is right now, and each moment is slipping away. We are surrounded by so many distractions and relentless pull from past and future, that we forget to live in the present and make the most of it. But here today, I am all excited and nervous, as you can see, to share a bit of myself, and feel so grateful that I get to know all of you through this Toastmaster. Thanks to Sir Ralph C. Medley, and sorry. So to tell you what I like as such, I find joy in a lot of things such as music, movies and shows, dance, playing sports like badminton, TT, and running, and exploring new places. I believe in the power of infinity, which makes me go beyond, which makes me go deeper in these areas of interest of mine. When I walk in the morning to feel close to the nature, I wonder how selflessly this nature is offering so much to us. when I see animals from small to large, I wonder who gives us the right to cage them. When I feel present, being present in the moment, I feel, what did I do to deserve to have such a beautiful life? And when I feel what contribution I can make, when I feel what how when I think about my contribution to it, I wonder how my actions can make a beautiful tomorrow for others as well. Tomorrow is full of hope and possibilities. Not so long ago, I used to wonder why people think about future, building a better tomorrow for future generation. Why do they care? But I get it now. If Sir Medley hadn't thought about starting a Toastmasters about a century back, we wouldn't have got so many great speakers. I wouldn't be here giving my icebreaker speak. I get it now. What I do today, what I think of my past, have a major role to play in creating the future, in creating the tomorrow for myself and others. I hope to become better leader to make an impact in each action of mine, as today's icebreaker speech is contributing to it, which is also why I joined Toastmaster to express freely and become a better leader. As I quote Sir Nelson Mandela, and I believe, may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vivian.
Thank you so much. Can everyone please give Toastmaster Prabha a standing ovation? That was such a thought-provoking icebreaker speech. You're truly a positive force to reckon with, Toastmaster Prabha. Toastmaster Devashish, are you ready to go next? Okay. Toastmaster Devashish, his evaluator is Toastmaster Sanjay. I'll just read out your speech purpose again. Toastmaster Devashish is attempting his L1P3 in Presentation Mastery Path, Introduction to Vocal Variety. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance a speech. It is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Toastmaster Devashish, life is like a marathon. Life is like a marathon, Toastmaster Devashish.
Everyone here would have participated in the annual sports day, right? And Toastmaster Samitakar would have organized a lot of annual sports day. Everyone here would be interested. When would be the 100-meter race coming? When is the 200-meter race coming? When is the relay race coming? But for me, marathon has always fascinated me. Right from the childhood, I was drawn to the challenge of running long race. I had no knowledge back then what its historical roots are. Allow me to give you a brief background about it. The word marathon was originated from the astonishing tale of Philippides, an Greek runner who ran all the way from Athens to Sparta, covering a distance of 240 miles just to deliver a small message about war. To honor him, marathon was introduced into the sports. In today's modern history, there are great runners like Kimeret Tola and Eliud Kipchoge, who have set lots of world records, covering a distance of more than 42 kilometers within 2 hours. As I had mentioned, that I was introduced to the marathon race during my school days. I asked one of my senior classmates that I also want to participate. Initially, he was hesitant and skeptical, but looking at my enthusiasm, he said, "Why don't you join me in a marathon training session in the next morning?" Every participants were given 1 month's time to prepare before the race day. It was during the winter seasons. In the morning of 5:30 a.m. in the morning, we had to assemble for the training session. We would traverse through a route of 7 kilometers through the village and occasionally take breaks when we stumbled upon a group of villagers warming themselves next to the bonfire. I vividly remember my first day of training. Initially, I was able to match the pace of the group, but soon I was fainting. I was fainting to grasp my breath. I realized my body and my mind were not able to understand the kind of pressure it has to go to do this activity. As a result, I was out of breath and my stomach started aching. My first marathon race, I struggled to maintain speed and consistency. But I managed to cross the finish line. And that gave me an immense sense of satisfaction and a motivation to improve. The following year, I stood third in the race. You know, the most fascinating thing about the marathon race, it's its training period. It is during this training session, you learn the endurance. You monitor the time you take in order to cover 1 kilometer and how much you need to push your body. You intimately observe what is your strength and weakness. As you practice daily, your mind gives you a set of target you need to achieve. And that's how you push yourself beyond the limit. And furthermore, when you practice, there will come a time when your brain urges you to stop. And that's how you engage in mental conversation, reassuring yourself that you can do it. Yes, you can do it. One more lap. And gradually you develop stamina. In similar way, life is also like a marathon. You must adjust your pace according to the path you pursue. Setting small goals at a time becomes very important. As in marathon race, you have come across hurdles like pain, fatigue, the thought process of giving up. Similarly, in life, you will come across many difficulties, but you need to overcome those. Once you overcome those situations, you become confident and you build character for yourself to sustain for a long run. I almost forgot what it was like to run a marathon and the kind of high that it gives me until I started my journey for CA. And that's how I realized that CA is similar like long run, where you need to have inner strength and patience in order to sustain it for a long time. You need to have self-motivation for the amount of pressure that the society creates, and every time you fail. But you know that every time you fail, you're closer to your goal. Eventually, I crossed my line, and it was one of my moments where I was able to achieve one of the milestones in the marathon of life. Whether it is a long distance race, marathon, examination, personal life, or any aspiration, life itself is a race against oneself, and consistency is the key. Being consistent is a boring. You get fed up of it. You want change. Sometimes seeing your friends in the Instagram, you get a fear of FOMO. Oh my God, he's enjoying. But regardless of that, you must persist. If you wish to reach your goals, consistency is non-negotiable. Ultimately, what matters most in the marathon of life is the level of confidence you have in yourself. The process holds more importance than the outcome. Whether you have given the best, that's all it matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everyone please give Toastmaster Devashish a huge round of applause?
And sorry for the shuffling.
No issues. You were great. I loved it. I hope to cross the line too one day and be proud of my chance. I would love to call upon the general evaluator today, Toastmaster Aparna, to call upon the evaluators and then give her report.
Just a moment, I'm just pulling out. Okay, there you go, because we had the order mixed up. So with that, so quickly calling on the evaluators for today, and what speeches, and we finish it with a bang. Our first evaluator for today, evaluating DTM Nagesh, is DTM Sunil Kumar. DTM Sunil Kumar has been associated with Toastmasters for over a decade now and is the past District 92 PR manager. He's also a senior analytics manager by profession and loves to read, drink tea, thanks for mentioning that, and make names. With that, over to you, DTM Sunil Kumar. Do give us the evaluation.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Aparna. And I think Toastmaster Nagesh is not in the meeting, but let's go ahead. So Toastmaster Nagesh, what a beautiful speech about leadership. I think this whole speech was a workshop for all the budding leaders who deal with a lot of dilemmas in their leadership journey. And you were able to bring out those dilemmas and those learnings in this beautiful speech. So talking about some of the good things about this speech, first of all, the title. I think a very catchy title always holds the attention of the audience and is a hook that actually brings the audience initially to listen to you. So the title TBD was a great hook, was a great title for your speech. And as I mentioned about the important aspects and the dilemmas you mentioned about your speech, the content was beautiful. Once you see the speech, you can know that this person has spent a lot of time in Toastmasters and has a good command over stage and the language as well. There were moments where you created tension in the whole story. You had the disappointments during the speech, which came out from your facial expressions and the voice modulation, right? And to emphasize upon the final conclusion and the morale or the learnings of your speech, you emphasized by using 3 stories. And that was a good way to conclude the whole speech. Now, coming to something which I felt could have been done better. First thing, since an online speech, right, and a lot of time the speakers, they're very close to the camera. And this is a problem which happens because the speech is not only about delivering the speech, right? Only just speaking it out. Your hand movement, sometimes the facial expressions play a very huge role, right? And that's what I think the hand movements were lacking because he was too close to the camera. And we were not able to see those gestures, which could have probably added some more points to the way and to probably the emphasis to the message he was trying to deliver, right? And the second thing was, since the MC forgot to mention about that speech title and messed up a little bit, this initial part, the opening of the speech, was a little bit cumbersome. I was hoping that the TBD could have been a big reveal at the end, but that came out very early in the speech, and there was no hook as such for TBD to be at the end, right? And this probably would be and feedback for the team or probably the MC. There are times, right? The acronyms, the Toastmasters are very good with making acronyms and coming up with it, right? So just speak out the title as it is, don't mess up there. So overall, these are the feedbacks. If there's a catchy title, a very hard-hitting speech, mentioning about the dilemmas and the learnings from his leadership journey, supremely confident on the stage, and bringing out the voice modulation and the tension which is required in the speech, a dramatic speech, right? Those were available in this speech. Only if you could work upon the camera position and getting a little bit back during the speech delivery probably would help us out to see his hand movements and bring in more emphasis on his learnings in his speech. That's it from my end, and I'll give it back to General Evaluator, Toastmaster Aparna.
Thank you very much, DTM Sunil. I think that was an astute evaluation. And my apologies, I forgot to mention to DTM Nagesh said he would be dropping off. I forgot to mention that, my bad. That said, about the evaluation itself, I think the evaluation was very nicely done, especially for someone like a seasoned speaker like DTM Nagesh. It becomes a little tricky to find out where is it that he can probably improve. So I believe for a speaker like that, it is not really improvement, but more about what can you do next that would add value. And I think those kind of points should be mentioned, especially because we know that he would come here, we know his speaking style. Maybe you could probably suggest something from your perspective that you think he can add, maybe something like a facial expression, more pronounced facial expressions in some very specific places, or probably maybe a dramatic pause, because his speech is begging for a drama. You know, he's got the content, but it's begging for drama, and he can. And someone like that brings in drama you don't expect it. So maybe you could give, I mean, I think you can come up with better ideas too. What can he do next to change the narrative a little bit more? Because he's already very good. So, so yeah, but I think otherwise you pointed out all the good points and great points. So wonderful hearing you, DTM Sunil. Thank you very much. And please note, all the evaluators do summarize. He summarized it so well, right? So please don't forget to summarize today, just giving you all that tip right away. Thank you. Moving on to our next evaluator, who so graciously took the last spot, Toastmaster Joanne. So I will come to you at the end. I will move to Toastmaster Meena. Toastmaster Meena is a strong believer of strong coffee can strongly solve any headaches. I completely agree. And she's recently picked up coffee painting. Wow. And an aroma of strong coffee makes her day every day. With that, over to you, Toastmaster Meena. Do share your evaluation for Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Toastmaster Aparna. Toastmaster Chitrakshi. Trust factor beyond Toastmasters, being grateful and staying motivated. I could truly feel you connect with your mentor through your speech today. I could not stop but admire the mentor-mentee connect the Toastmasters fraternity brings through your speech. What I like to appreciate you is the story narration that you had. Right from your schooling to this moment, you had us hooked with the oratory skills. You had all of us hooked with your questionnaire as well at the very start of the speech. What complimented the most is the open hand gestures that you had while you shared your content, as well as sprinkled with some gentle humor. I'm special and beyond repair. This made me to chuckle from within. As well as, I would also commend you for the continuous eye contact you had all throughout your speech, especially in the online setup. We tend to lose eye contact, but you made sure you had it from the start till the end of the speech. Along with that, your calm and composed nature, filled with confidence, is something I truly admired all throughout your speech. Now, I would like to encourage you to try 4 suggestions from my end. 1, why don't you try to stand and explore this virtual stage? How would you be if you go ahead and look in front of the camera, away from the camera, sides of the camera? How would you explore your body language on this virtual setup? That would be one of the challenges I'd like to throw at you. Second, I felt your speech was more of eye-centric. Why don't you leave a message to the audience at the end of the speech? What is it and why is it important for you to connect with a mentor, or what is the essence, whatever is your feeling? And third, I would have really loved to hear, who is your mentor? I had this question and I would have loved to applaud for such a beautiful mentor-mentee connect. With that being told, continue your spirit of having strong and composed nature, having good oratory skills with confidence, bringing the true emotions of mentor-mentee connect, and of course, beautifully complemented with open hand gestures and continuous eye contact. Try exploring the virtual stage, leave a message to the audience. Don't forget to be grateful by mentioning the name of the characters that play a very crucial role in your life. With that being told, wishing you the very best for your upcoming speeches. And over to you, Madam General Evaluator Toastmaster Aparna.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Meena. It is always a pleasure to hear you speak, especially because you come with such wonderful adjectives. Now, let me make your day. Her mentor is none other than DTM Nancy Goyal, RVP Education. So that said, I presume she wanted some suspense and she kept it that way. Not sure, only she can validate that. The evaluation was very on point in the sense that, yes, she does have this great screen presence with her calm, composed demeanor and all of that. Rightly pointed out, which is so important and something she's worked on very hard and she's developed. And I must say that is something that has become a strength these days. You rightly pointed it out. The recommendations in terms of eye-centric, and she could have a message. To start off, yes, it was a little eye-centric. I agree, but she did have a message towards the end where she said the next time someone says, I don't need a mentor, she looks back and she says, she had a line, but you're right. It didn't come out strong. It could have come out stronger is what I believe too, as strong as the coffee you brew. So maybe if I'll pass on the evaluation to her, or I would be happy if you would give it to her in writing as well, and she takes it back. That said, the evaluation was very well rounded. The commendations and the recommendations were rightly pointed out, and thank you very much for summarizing as well. Thank you, Toastmaster Meena. So, moving on to our next evaluator. Our next evaluator is one of my favorites, Toastmaster Preeti. Toastmaster Preeti, as the name suggests, is full of love. Her blood group is A positive, and she says she's very B positive because she's someone who, tells people be positive. She's an NLP skills, she's certified in NLP. She's a life coach, a corporate trainer, and a certified laughter leader. With that, I would like to call her to evaluate Toastmaster Shilpi's icebreaker speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Preeti Jaina.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Aparna. Strong women don't play victim, don't make themselves look pitiful, and don't point fingers. They stand and they deal. And my dear Toastmaster Shilpa chose not to be pitiful, but prettyful, and gone for a beauty pageant, which reflected her inner beauty in turn. It's not easy to be so vulnerable and share the whole life story in front of an entire audience. Your simplicity, your purity, courage, and the journey touched the heart of each one of us present here in the meeting. And I applaud for that. A big thanks to you, Toastmaster Shilpa, for pouring your heart and sharing your story, because this is the purpose of the icebreaker speech. You have very nicely shared the complete timeline of your life, from your birth to grade 10, to engineering, to job, to mom's demise. I'm extremely sorry for your loss there, to depression, to marriage, to beauty pageant, and to being a coach. You are a natural speaker, a very good storyteller. Great job there. I love the way you use your hand gesture, and you clearly differentiated with the obedient and stubborn. And time and again, the play of that hand made it very clear, and you brought it together, obedient, stubborn. Great job there. Very small suggestions for you. Please, it's a request for each and every speaker present here. Try not to use the virtual background, because many a times your hand gestures are not clear. And secondly, I'll suggest you to work closely with your mentor, who can help you to add ways to engage with audience, or to come up with play with your voice, or to come up with a message for audience, or maybe a call of action. That's the job of your mentor. So I'll just say that you are a fighter and a learner. You are very confident with camera, great voice, sincerity in your speech. Just work with your mentor, and you are going to bring many more accolades for the club. I would like to end my evaluation with one thing. Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. So Toastmaster Shilpa, continue being stubborn. I'm with you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Wow, such a positive, empowering evaluation for such an amazing icebreaker speech. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Preeti. And the evaluation, very clearly, it being your icebreaker speech, it was kind of surprising, Toastmaster Shilpi, because you came out in the open and spoke about something a lot of us hesitate to do, and not at least in the first go. Very nicely delivered, like rightly pointed out. The storytelling aspect, as Toastmaster Preeti mentioned, you do have a natural flair for it. And of course, your journey just started and you're going to start working on it with your mentor and so on. That said, for the evaluation itself, generally for icebreakers, we don't give recommendation, but I reckon Toastmaster Preeti gave you that because you are good and I think you would take it in the right spirit today. You're a good speaker. That said, as for the audience interaction and all of that, Toastmaster Preeti, I think, she still has time to get there. She will get there. The mentor will take her there and you will learn. So it'll come. So not to worry. Great evaluation and a wonderful speech too. Lovely hearing. Now moving on to our next evaluator, Toastmaster Amrita. I beg your pardon. Give me a moment, please. It's just that my phone turns off and I have to pull out the introductions. So Toastmaster, I do not have Toastmaster Amrita's introduction. Oh, yes, I do. So Toastmaster Amrita, I'm sorry about that. She says she's from the Agnel Toastmasters Club. And after spending years in investment banking, oh my, now she's a videopreneur. She creates wonderful content on YouTube and other social media channels with an aim to increase the financial literacy in India. If you're looking at investment, Devyani, as you mentioned, you know who to talk to. With that, I invite Toastmaster Amrita to evaluate our speaker, Toastmaster Sheila. You're on mute, yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aparna, and very good evening, all of you and my target speaker. My leadership journey. Short and crisp title of your speech and totally relatable to the content of your speech. You gave all the, first you start with your journey of Toastmaster and then you relate to your leadership style, how you identify them. And you give some real life example with some personal stories. I really like that. And you give some personal, like a famous personalities named like Mahatma Gandhi and Dalai Lama that we can all relate to. And when you were giving your speech, you were kind of very much comfortable and confident throughout your speech. So you served the purpose of your speech and made the objective of your speech that you identify your primary leadership styles. Kudos to that, Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi. Apart from this, there is always a scope of improvement. So I have a few recommendations for you. First is that when you start your speech, try to use some hook for your speech. Like you can use some quote or ask the question to grab the audience attention, because nowadays audience attention is like audience attention span is very low, like a 30-second you have and you have to grab the audience attention. So you can ask some question or add some short story. Second is you have to give the transition should be smooth. When you share the coaching leadership style, give intro, give some related example to that, take a short pause and then move forward to the next leadership style. So transition should be smooth. And third one is you have to give time to the audience to grab the data you shared with them. You have to be a little bit slow. So there are some few recommendations for you. Now I conclude my evaluation. Excellent speech. You made the speech objective also. Just work on the recommendation and you will rock it. All the very best for upcoming speeches. And thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Amrita, for that detailed evaluation. And also, I'd like to point out she's probably the only evaluator so far who's mentioned if the speakers achieved the purpose or not. Yes, something that we can all be mindful of going ahead. That said, Toastmaster Amrita, I think it was very clear when you stated the three recommendations. One was, have a hook when you start, clear transitions, and finally, I think you said, give more pause for people to absorb things. Very valid points. I would only recommend that going further. Am I audible? Okay, going ahead, I would only recommend that when we are giving evaluation, try to be more specific. Where did you find that the transition? I agree with what you're saying, but be more specific. As a speaker, we have to understand there are two versions. One is the version we are seeing, and the other is the version the speaker is seeing in their head. They've already rehearsed it multiple times. So the way they see it is different from us. So when you tell them specifically how and where the transition you found it, make a point, note of it. It is very easy for them. So be more specific, but otherwise I think nicely done, Toastmaster Amrita, and I like that you came here, you stood and you gave the evaluation and all of that. Thank you very much. Let's move on. So moving on to our next evaluation. Our next evaluator is DTM Abhijit Roy. DTM Abhijit Roy is a leading business development and contracts team in leading a business development and contracts team in his current organization. He has overall 14 years of work experience in the fields like business development, tendering, and contracts in oil and gas sector, and has worked in countries like GCC, Africa, Singapore, and India. Oh my. Over to you, DTM Abhijit Roy. Do share the evaluation for DTM. So,
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
There's some disturbance when you speak, DTM Abhijit. Voice is not very clear.
Just give me a second. Please, you will just go to the next evaluation. I'll put it on the next
We can't hear you, Abhijit. Abhijit.
Do you want me to go ahead with the next evaluator?
Yeah.
I think he's asking me to go ahead with the next evaluator while he fixes his. Okay, will do. So in that case, I'm moving on to our next evaluator, Toastmaster Jayati Datta. Toastmaster Jayati, are you ready to do the evaluation? Is she with us?
Yes, I am. Am I
There
audible?
she is. There she is. Of course,
Hi,
loud and clear.
Aparna. Saurabh-ji.
Hi, DTM Jayati. Lovely to meet you. Okay, so Toastmaster Jayati is a homemaker, entrepreneur, and in Toastmasters for the last 3 years. She's been the president of Win Toastmasters Club BP membership for Virtual Masters, first runner-up at the IC this year, and presently the president-elect of Virtual Masters Club and VP Ed-elect of Newtown Toastmasters Club. She's also the PQD of Division J and advisor at Area I2. Oh my, I'm running out of breath with that huge thing, and I'll tell you what doesn't do justice to who she really is. She has so much more. With that, let's quickly invite her to give us the evaluation of Toastmaster Chaitanya's speech. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, General Evaluator. As introduced, I'm going to evaluate Toastmaster Chaitanya. Here comes. Mentors help you to build your own path with your own strengths. Toastmaster Chaitanya, let me point out your strengths in your speech. There are 3 strengths which I found. The first one is interaction with the audience. Your interaction with the audience was because there are so many speeches and you had to wake us up, listen to what you were saying. So that was one very good point which you added in your speech. The second one, your story about you and your mentor, the camaraderie you share with her. When you shared your personal story, you gave us, the audience, exactly what you are, what you like, what you don't like. And that helps us to connect with you better. The third point is your speech pacing was around 100 to 120 words per minute, which was perfect, not only for me to listen, but understand whatever you said. You stated, it is important to know our weaknesses. So here are a few humble suggestions to amplify the engagement impact of your speech. The first one, to me, you appeared a little nervous. Maybe because you have not done so many speeches, but then I would say that you have done an icebreaker. You should be comfortable. Don't worry, we are all here to learn. Just remember that. Along with it, your vocal variety. When you said this statement, it is important to know our weaknesses. It was sounding very monotonous. If you could say it like, it is important to know our weaknesses. Improve your vocal variety. That takes your speech to a higher notch. The third one is dialogue and stage choreography. The dialogue between you and your mentor. Suppose you had a dialogue. You would use the stage choreography. One side you would go to act as your mentor. The other side, it would be as you. Maybe you could ask a question to your mentor, or the mentor might begin the conversation. And the mentor might say, Okay, Chaitanya, when are you taking the next speech slot? And you would answer, maybe sometime very soon. Not so easy with it right now. So this improves not only your vocal imperfections or increases your vocal variety, it also makes you learn the stage choreography. Okay, now with your strengths of perfect interaction with the audience, a personal story, and perfect speech pacing, I think Toastmaster Chaitanya, if you overcome your nervousness, improve your vocal variety just a tad bit, and add dialogue, I think you have it in you to not only become a good, but a great speaker. I wish you all the best because you have met the objectives of your speech. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jayati. And I think I enjoyed the evaluation for one particular reason was that she actually displayed how to do things rather than just saying, okay, do it. She actually said vocal variety, and if you want to role play and stage choreography, where to do it. And she also demonstrated how to do it. It's so much easier to remember, right? I think the speaker would agree with me too. I was just hoping you would also give us a couple of tips on how to overcome nervousness. And I mean it. Because for a speaker of your caliber, I think you would have a couple of tricks up your sleeve. That said, for people who are just starting out, maybe you could have told us, how do I overcome nervousness as a newbie, right? That was the only thing I was looking for. And thanks for confirming that he's completed the purpose as well. He's met the purpose as well. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jayati and Toastmaster Chaitanya. So moving on to our seventh evaluator, Toastmaster Joanne. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I actually rehearsed it a couple of times. Toastmaster Joanne. Toastmaster Joanne is a content writer and a passionate reader, is an introvert who finds joy in conversations, and she immerses herself in diverse music genres and languages while her free evenings are spent treasure hunting in vintage book and stationery stores. She hails from Mumbai and she cherishes the sunset and sunrise at Marine Drive. So let's hear your evaluation for our target speaker, Toastmaster Prabha, on her icebreaker speech. Over to you.
Hi, Toastmaster Prabha. I can see you smiling right now. It makes me feel very proud, honestly. It's your first speech today, right? Like it's your icebreaker speech. But you know what? You came in and you started speaking, and I thought to myself, God, she knows how to write a good content. The speech was filled with so many metaphors, similes, and quotes, and not just random quotes. You know, all the quotes were aptly used in the correct way. The usage was perfect. And I was thinking, I need to learn something from Prabha now. How to write a very good content. The purpose of an icebreaker speech is simple. It's twofold. One, you need to learn opening, body, closing, and you nailed it. You opened, by saying something like, who needs a red carpet when a pitfall is waiting for you? And I was like, I'm going to write this down. This is a really good opening. From where did you get this opening? Like, that is an amazing opening. And then you close by saying, may your choices reflect your hope, not your fears. Bang on, a very good closing. Seriously, you open and close so powerfully that you have now met that objective. You know how to write a really good. Your body, you said things like neighborhood Lance Armstrong. You said, I saw the Kalima of my mom. All these metaphors and similes, and so rightly you use them. It was a pleasure to listen. You love quotes. I know that. Like, that is something I got from your speech. And just to add on, I'll tell you, a quote by Dale Carnegie. He says, speakers who talk about what life has taught them never fail to keep the attention of the audience. Your speech today taught us a lot about what you experienced in your life, your feelings, how you are such a happy person and you take everything in a happy way. And that kept the audience attention, at least my attention. I'm sure about that. Overall, I'll tell you, as an icebreaker speech, this was a wonderful speech. I just have two things for you to start. The first thing I noticed was you were very nervous, right? You were not smiling. But now when I look at you, Prabha, you're smiling and you're such a sweet smile. Nervousness is a very normal thing. Even seasoned speakers, they go on stage and they're nervous. They just know how to hide it. Another quote I remember, which I tell myself when I'm nervous, it's okay, Joanne, to have butterflies in your stomach. Just arrange them in a good formation. I always tell them this to myself, and this is what I'll tell you. It's okay to be nervous. Just arrange your nervousness in a good formation. And you know how you do that? I do it with a smile. Fake it till you make it. Smile. When you smile, honestly, what happens is you start gaining confidence. The nerves will slowly go down. But in your speech, you are not smiling at all. Right now, when I see your smile, I know that, oh, wow, Prabha can deliver such a wonderful speech. But for some reason, you got so nervous that you forgot to smile. So keep this in mind. It's okay to be nervous. Go and smile. See that change will happen naturally. You'll fake that confidence and you'll gain that confidence. Second recommendation is, again, related to the same thing. You are not looking at the camera, right? Maybe because you're nervous, you're not looking at the camera. So one tip, which I use personally is good, don't look at the audience. Just look at that pinhole of your camera. Don't look, blank them out. That's fine. Just look at that camera. You know why? Because that makes us feel like you are a very confident speaker. Slowly and steadily, you will then start gaining that confidence. Overall, fantastic icebreaker speech. Lovely. You know how to write a speech, I'll tell you that. 2 recommendations: smile more, take that confidence, and look at the camera. Don't look at the people, just look at the camera. All the best for your next speech. I can't wait to hear you speak.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Joanne. Again, a very good evaluation. And when Toastmaster Joanne said 2 recommendations, my heart went, oh my God, icebreaker, she's giving evaluations, because we normally refrain from giving evaluations. But just like the previous evaluator for the icebreaker, you also did a very, very nice job of giving a very, it was not an evaluation in your case also, it was more like a suggestion where she said smile and she said why. And then the evaluator also said that next time you go, you're feeling nervous, you have butterflies. Okay, these are not recommendations. I feel these are more like, that little push, that little nudge, the gentle nudge that you all need to take the next step. So I think this is how it should be if it's an icebreaker, and for any speech for that matter. Very nicely done, Toastmaster Joanne and Toastmaster Prabha. I have just an added point for you, Toastmaster Prabha. You know what? A lot of us get stuck for words. You have the opposite. You don't get stuck for words at all. You can go on and on and on, which is amazing strength to have. Just make sure it's within the time limit. Though I think you went a little overboard, a little more than little actually today with your time. So just keep your mind, and how you can do that is practice. That's all. Otherwise, you're doing superb. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Joanne and Toastmaster Prabha. So moving on to the next duo. Oh, now this is interesting. We have a CA evaluating another CA, Clash of the Accountants. Toastmaster Sanjay is evaluating Toastmaster Devashish, and Toastmaster Sanjay is a chartered accountant by profession, married to a lovely wife, Sushma Jain, who's also a CA. Wow. The couple is blessed with 2 lovely children who will also be CAs. Oh no, that I added. Outside of Toastmasters and accounting, Sanjay likes playing cricket, chess, and loves traveling. And I've seen that he's very, very engaging and a very well put together person. So I'd love to hear his evaluation for Toastmaster Devashish. Over to you, Toastmaster Sanjay.
Thank you, Aparna. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests, and Devashish in particular. You were rocking. You were confident, and you given your speech in a complete flow. I liked your message. Life is a marathon. You explained the purpose of the life. You explained how marathon had come in existence, which was very inspiring. Your body language also was good. You demonstrated that the villagers feel the cold and things like that, and stomachache. You showed your hand gesture there. It was a very good thing. Your opening was also very good, and you asked questions and started saying and referring one of the Toastmasters principle, and saying that there would be hundreds of marathons she would have seen. It was a very good start, and I seen that everything you were confident and very good. What you could have done differently? You were reading, which if you could avoid it, it would have added more value to your speech. You require to improve on voice modulation, as I see that you had the same pay. As this project requires you to make use of vocal variety and body language. You could increase your voice when you achieved and reduce your voice when you did not achieve. So it would have drawn the interest of the audience further. What I would like to challenge you is that you please do not read, but have a bullet point before you, so that you can maintain a sequence as it is your story. Hence, it is not to be mugged, and we do not know if you miss in something or add. So you can very clearly make the point in a sequential manner. I would like you to work on your vocal variety, and you can further improve on your body language. Overall, I liked your speech. It have met the objective of the speech, as the vocal variety and body language is a challenging thing, and it will be achieved while giving more speeches, so that it is a long journey, and we can achieve together. Thank you very much. Yeah, over to Aparna. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sanjay. And I must mention Toastmaster Sanjay is a very new Toastmaster, and he's just taken up evaluation. I'm not sure if it's his first evaluation, but I'm guessing it's one of his first. So thank you very much, Toastmaster Sanjay, for making those astute points there, very good observations. That's it, Toastmaster Devashish. Your speech was the highlight for me today. Not to undermine any other speeches here, but I think what happened today was a raw display of courage and persistence. It is difficult to come here and speak your mind out, and a little more difficult for some of us than the others. You had a minor panic attack, you went, but you came back and you finished it, and you finished strong. Such a powerful speech it was. See, I see a lot of people nodding. I'm not just saying it. There was a very powerful message hidden under all of that. And I think the power of being a marathon runner actually was on display today in your speech. Very well done, Toastmaster Devashish. And boy, if this is just your starting, I'm waiting to see what you do in level 5. And you've got something very powerful in you. Explore it. That said, Toastmaster Sanjay, great evaluation. And like he pointed out, he said, don't really, mug your speech, and all of that is right. But it's okay to start off. We tend to do that because that's the way we can remember. And like you said, you can actually make a note of the points that you want to speak. The intro points, the body, the conclusion. What are the points? And then practice the speech, and also put the transition points. Where does the transition happen? A transition can be a quote, a word, a line, a thought. Just write the transition and stick it right next to the camera. This being the virtual stage, you can try all these gimmicks here. And then once you get comfortable, you can just do away with it. So you can do that rather than writing the entire speech in front of you, keeping the entire speech in front of you. These are just little tricks that you can try. That said, I would suggest the same thing to the evaluator. Toastmaster Sanjay, you can also write bullet points and stick it next, because you can speak. You definitely can. So put it there, the bullet points, and then tell us from your heart. That'll work. That is enough. Thank you very much. With that, moving on, or rather routing back to our last pair, which would be DTM Abhijit, Abhijit's evaluation for DTM Saurav. I believe I've already done the introduction for DTM Abhijit. So I shall quickly call him to do the evaluation.
Few audience members would have thought why a question mark came when the title was being talked about. You don't have a mentor? That was a question that not just triggered in everybody's mind, but also my mind as to what is going to come next. And Toastmaster Saurav didn't really disappoint any one of us throughout the entire speech. The most important of the objective was to talk about the speaker as a prodigy. But for the very first time in my evaluation, I heard a speech which had a different take altogether. He didn't talk about he being a prodigy and sharing the learnings from being a prodigy, but rather he talked about his learnings that he had from his own prodigy. Means he being a mentor and the learnings that he had from his own mentees. He never had a mentor, not necessarily to be quoted that it should be a fact within Toastmasters. In life, you all can learn from anyone and everyone. And that was the clear evidence that Toastmaster Saurav did demonstrate through the way of his speech. So a different take to the objective that was there was point blank. The second part was the structure. I loved the structure with the way of what exactly his learnings was and the growth curves that he went on from his first year being in Toastmasters, then moving on and helping Gabbys form a larger part of the Toastmasters fraternity, being 2 times distinguished Toastmaster and completing of 8 parts. That was a learning that he had being a mentor and as learning from his mentees. And the third part is breaking through the silence and revealing the name of the prodigy that he learned from until the last word. So the last word in his entire speech was revealed as the name of the mentee. That was a suspense, although members of Gabbys probably would have known, but I, as an individual, got to understand only at the last minute. So that was a suspense that he kept on building in, and so on and so forth until the last word, and made me glued to the speech from the start till the end. But now is the most important part, an area where Toastmasters sort of you can work on and take your future speeches to the very next level. You did talk a lot about your own growth and what you learned, but a little highlights on what more did you actually get to learn from your prodigy? A little more about the highlights of your prodigy, teaching you different aspects of life and learnings could have been added as per my understanding. And as you talked so much about your achievements, your prodigy, you being a mentor to so many things, I found a little bit of enthusiasm comparatively less than what you could have actually shown. And the third part was a little gap in the preparedness. You have delivered 8 parts, my friend. The only thing was there slight snippets where you kind of fumbled to kind of continue with the act. That is something which you could have worked on. To summarize, you had a very different take onto the topic. You shared your own learnings, which had a great structure. Your suspense till the last word uttered was built on, which was found to be good. The only areas of improvement is to talk more about the prodigy to relate to the objectives, a little enthusiasm when you're talking about more about your experience and learnings, and a little more of preparedness. This could have added and taken your speech to the next level. I wish you all the very best, Toastmaster Saurav, and with that, over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, DTM Abhijit Roy. And I must agree that that was the first message I actually sent DTM Saurav, and I said that was a surprise even for me, because this speech was a 180-degree take on mentorship, right? Because how do you talk about mentors when you've mentored so many people? I think it was a very different take, very creative take, as you rightly pointed out, DTM Abhijit, that it was an unexpected thing. So I think the best stories come from truth. So what really happened, if you take and you make a story, it is always more creative. Nicely done, very well pointed out. As for the areas of improvement, I think you mentioned something about preparedness, and I think more about the protege. I think that's quite subjective, maybe because see, also it also matters that you are not from the club and we are. So maybe I felt that, okay, we know a little bit more about it and you don't. So I think that's a valid point, especially seeing from a third person's perspective who doesn't know what is going on. And when you share those impacts, little more, little less, yeah, there's always room for improvement that way. We can agree to disagree on that point. But that said, I think it was a good evaluation, a very astute one again, where you pay close attention to what he was saying. And if I have to add something to this, I would say more than just looking at mentorship and things like that. Although the speech was great, very well put together, and you had a nice 180-degree turn and all of that, maybe an insight into this, because it's 8 parts and you're a mentor and there's so much to learn. So maybe an insight that none of us know. I think you do have a lot like that. If you could share it with us and surprise us, you surprised us enough, yes, but a learning, if you could surprise us with, that would be a takeaway for a lot of us watching this. So what have you learned and has helped you in your mentorship journey? Because essentially, if you're seeing in a traditional setup, we finish this level and then we become mentors, right? We take up mentees. So for me, at this level, yes, you've done it many times, but what have you learned new now? What have you learned new other than that you can learn that you're going to take up into your mentorship journey from here? That would be really invaluable to a lot of us. So I was hoping you would give a good twist there. So that said, yes, I think I'll be getting a call where he's going to be screaming at me again, but that's okay. I'm the GE today, so you listen to what I say. Thank you very much. I end my session, or rather, thanks to all the evaluators and the speakers. Quick evaluation of the meeting. I don't think that's needed. We're all already near 9, but just to say, our MC did a fab job, and she's doing her team out. Second time today, she was a team out at 5:30 at another meeting, and still the enthusiasm continues. Wonderful. And our timer, oh my God, I'm seeing her timing up. People like anything, on the dot, she's timing. Thank you so much, Toastmasters. Samita. And over to you, Toastmaster Samita. Do we have any disqualifications? The polling is already up, but
Yes.
still.
For the speakers, there was no disqualification. Everyone was within time limit. But for the evaluators, Joanne and Abhijit, these are the two people who have crossed the time limit. So I'm pasting it in the chat.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but the polls are here. So yeah, the polls have been rolled back. So apologies, Toastmaster Joan and Toastmaster Abhijit, you all did a fabulous job. So let's give the others a chance today. So are we rolling out the polls now again? Okay.
But now, since it's already rolled out, let's just let it be because it's mine.
Let's just keep it.
Yeah, let's just keep it. And anyways, we have kept people on till 9 p.m. So let's not disqualify anyone.
All right, all right. Cool, fair enough. With that, I hand it back to our ever enthusiastic MC, Toastmaster Devyani.
Thank you so much. I think this session, it had power-packed speeches followed with power-packed evaluations. And I have learned so much in this 2 hours meeting, and it's insane. Can we have some guests give us some feedback? Oh, I just saw our I think our guest Rashmi just left. I think Rajesh is a guest. Or like even, oh, okay. Even just like evaluators from other clubs, please like let us know how it was, what you felt. DTM Abhijit, yeah, like just let us know how the meeting was. I think even Toastmaster Amrita is from another club.
I'm glad that I participated in today's meeting, and it was a truly learning experience for me. Over to you, Toastmaster Devyani.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amrita. It's nice seeing you again. We've met a couple of times in other meetings. DTM Abhijit.
Yeah, it's actually good to do an evaluation amongst champions. So you have Aparna, Saurav, Nancy, everyone here, a few similar faces whom I can see. Jyoti is one. So it's great to do a speech evaluation, although whether you get disqualified or qualified doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, evaluating a speaker who was, at least for me, evaluating Saurav was equally a challenge for me, a person who I knew that has completed 8 parts and a person whom I know from the past 3 years. It's quite a bit. And I had my own time, my challenges to evaluate, give him the apt evaluations. So thoroughly loved the session altogether.
Thank you so much for joining us, and you really took on a daunting task, so respect for you. By the way, I feel like everyone should please give our timer Toastmaster Samita a big round of applause. She was so prompt in all the speeches, all the evaluations. She changed her cards so quickly. Just thank you so much. And I guess that's it for today. We are 1 minute ahead, which is a rare incident in Gabbys. So Toastmaster Devyani signing off. Good night. Goodbye.
We have to announce the best evaluator.
Oh,
that will take the 1 minute.
Whoever has the results, please go ahead.
I have the results, so I'm just announcing it. Can I, Devyani? Yeah. Okay. So.
Just the results, please.
Just the results, please.
Yeah, just the results. We will go 1 minute beyond time. Don't worry. So it was such a pleasure being the co-host and watching the polls. It was like cars racing. One was going ahead, then the other one was going ahead, and finally it was a nail-biting finish. So the winner. Okay, so I'll start to a little bit of suspense. So Preeti and Abhijit both came third. Jayati came second. And the winner is Toastmaster Joan. Congratulations, Toastmaster Joan. So, thank you. So with this, we maintain the Gabbys record. No, we're still at 9. Okay. Okay, we are done.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely meeting.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, bye.
Bye, Meena.
Bye, good night.
Bye.